Two, giving you a very easy to use visual set of tools, both to analyze data in structured databases or relational databases, but also to explore and find data patterns and problems by exploring data in Hadoop. And third, giving you great speed when you do analysis by exploiting in-memory technology. So our vision is pretty simple. We see customers taking a variety of different kinds of data, event data, enterprise data, social data, data coming off web logs and other things, and putting it in what the industry calls a data lake in Hadoop. From there, you can process data through what people in the industry call a data factory, where you aggregate data, you cleanse data, and we give you tools to do that, and then put it in a data warehouse, against which you can run decision support, what-if analysis, query analysis. Now, there's also, you've got huge volumes of data in Hadoop, and you also might want to explore the data, because you don't know what problems you find in the data. And so we're giving you a broad set of tools that we're introducing here at OpenWorld, Oracle Big Data Discovery, to be able to explore and find patterns and problems in your data. Let's look at these in a little bit more detail. So first, for accessing data in relational systems, two very important innovations. The first one, the Oracle in-memory database. It's the only database in the industry that lets you do transaction processing and analytics with great speed on a single system, number one. Number two, it allows you to run these calculations without having to modify your applications. So all existing applications can run against this database with great speed. Third, it exploits in-memory instruction set optimizations on hardware processors, as well as all of the technology we have in our database for clustering to give you great reliability and scalability while you're using in-memory speed. Along with it, we've introduced a new capability in Oracle Business Intelligence, because if you got all of this data now in memory, and you can calculate at the speed with which you get access in memory, you also want to change what kind of tools you have to access this. So we've brought a brand new visual user interface we're going to show you in just a couple of minutes to visually analyze data. You can take your personal data that sits in spreadsheets and load it and mash it up with your corporate data, and it's pulled in memory. And we've also got in-memory MOLAP, so you can do multi-dimensional analysis. Now, for transaction processing, we've certified all of our application suites: eBusiness Suite, PeopleSoft, Fusion, JD Edwards, Siebel, Hyperion. And here are some numbers. Oracle eBusiness Suite cost management goes 1,003 times faster. So a calculation that used to take you close to 25 hours to run now runs in a minute. Oracle Transportation Management runs 1,030 times faster. JD Edwards Sales Order Analysis goes 1,700 times faster. PeopleSoft Time and Labor goes 1,354 times faster. How do you use this? You simply upgrade your Oracle database instance. You make some modifications to the schema definition, and there you go. And it goes 1,000 times faster. So we thought that it would be good to show you this. Chris Linsky from Development's here. Hey, Chris.
How you doing, Thomas?
Welcome to OpenWorld.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shall we show them in-memory database and visual analytics?
Yeah, I'd love to.
OK.
So let's start this demo by taking a closer look at Oracle in-memory database using SQL Developer here.
OK.
In order to show the huge impact that this could have on an organization, we decided to focus in on an industry that has really complex requirements, really high volumes of transactional data, as well as complex needs from an analytics standpoint. So we'll be digging in and looking at retail point of sale analytics.
OK, great.
So here in SQL Developer, if I open up the tables that we have, you can see some common tables of data, common dimensions like customer, time, and product. On the right-hand side, you'll see a SQL worksheet where we've pre-run a query that really speaks to the tremendous scale of this data set. So we're actually looking at over 6 billion transactions of data here. As you might expect, when you want to run an analytic workload on top of a huge volume of data like that, it can take a bit of time. So if I go to the next SQL worksheet here, what you'll see is a pretty standard query, right? We're joining together a few tables, doing some aggregate computations on top of that. But if you look in the center of the screen, it took over 5 minutes for that query to execute.
So to fetch 50 rows, it took 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Can we make it go faster?
I think we might be able to help there. Because imagine if you're a BI user, right? You're not going to wait 5 minutes every time you click the mouse. So in the past, what we'd have to do is deploy a team of people, right? We get DBAs to optimize the indexes. We get IT to understand the requirements and pre-aggregate data, all things that get in the way of business agility. With Oracle in-memory database, we can change that game completely. Okay. And it's actually not that hard. So if I go to the next worksheet that we have here, what you'll see is that with just a few basic SQL commands, we can take these tables of data and actually build in-memory columnar representations that'll boost performance tremendously. So just a few commands, and I'm ready to go.
Should we run it?
Let's give it a shot. So if I go back to that first tab and we zoom in a little bit here, what I'm going to do is just click that play button and keep your eye on the latency on the bottom there. So we'll run this query, and there you go.
Done.
Done. 1 second now.
Okay.
So big
that's
impact.
how much is that? 300 times faster?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So now that we have all this extra horsepower, the real question is, what can we do to leverage that from an analytics standpoint?
Great.
So I'm really excited here to unveil a project we've been working on the BI team that's a new client focused on exploratory analysis and data discovery.
Great.
So here we're looking at the same data set. On the left-hand side, you can see the BI model that we've defined there. So a pretty complex schema, right? We've got customer information, campaign information, tender information, so lots of things going on in the BI layer. In the center of the screen here, this is where you can configure the visualization that we have. On the top of the screen, again, just reinforcing the volumes of data that we're looking at, same 6 billion transactions. And in the center, you'll see the chart that now visualizes that query that we ran in SQL Developer. Mm-hmm. So now that you're kind of oriented to that, what I want to do is run through a quick scenario. Let's say we've got the holiday season approaching, and I want to make sure that I optimize my campaigns, my coupons to get the most profitability. So what I want to do is just explore. I don't have the answer when I start out. Maybe I'll start by experimenting with a few different visualization types. So if I open up the menu here, you can see a wide range of choices to choose from. Maybe something basic like a pie chart. If I look at that, I'm not seeing the patterns that I want. Maybe I'll go a little crazy and look at a radar bar chart. That's kind of a fun visualization, but not seeing what I want there either. So I'll usually start with something like a scatter chart. This lets me look at multiple dimensions and attributes of data at once. And when I do that, what I can see here is the system telling me that it expects me to give it more information. Mm-hmm. Right? All the bubbles are in one line, not really showing a pattern. So what I want to do is maybe add transaction volume to this. Mm-hmm. My challenge here, though, is I'm not an expert in the schema. Right? This is the first time I've come into this application. So normally I'd have to hunt and peck and learn this. But what I want to do instead is just search for what I'm looking for. Right? I'll type in the word number. And what you see here is instantaneously, I get these search results back. Again, because we're using the power of that in-memory processing to boost the performance on this big data set. So now that I see what I want, I'll double click that. You'll see the system is smart, and we automatically add that to the right axis here. So now these patterns are starting to become clear. Now that I'm getting a handle on it, maybe I'll type in sales. And when we do that, we can see, okay, all of a sudden now I've fully populated this. I've got some interesting patterns to look at. Next thing that I want to do, though, is traditionally when I have to deal with regular performance, I have to walk down these strict hierarchies of data. What I want to do now is just explore any attribute at a moment's notice. So to do that, we are looking at product group right now. What if I want to just drop down in the hierarchy without applying any filters? It's quite easy. I can just drag that over to my color attribute. And now all of a sudden, you can see we've really taken that detail down to the next level, and the performance was instantaneous.
Because it's so fast, you can drill to detail without having to navigate predefined hierarchies.
Exactly.
It gives you ad hoc much more flexibly.
Yeah, much more exploratory analysis here. So now I notice an outlier, right? I can see that in the East North Central District, I'm actually doing a really good job from a profitability and volume standpoint on milk and dairy. So maybe I can do even better. what I'll do is I'll do a drill there. So this is leveraging the IT-defined hierarchies, and it actually drops me down to the next level, the lowest level in this data set. So now I'm looking at store information at the SKU level of the product.
Wow.
So we can see there's a lot of bubbles on the screen here. I might need a little bit more help to figure out what it is that I want to look for. Maybe the next thing I can bring on is some time attributes. So look at sales over time. So we'll look at it by quarter and by sales, and I'll just drag that onto the screen. You know, again, when you do that, we have nice UI affordances here to show like a line chart is what we'll bring on the screen, because that's how people expect to look at time. And it takes a little bit, but all right, there we go. We turn the query back. In this case, the cyclical patterns aren't that clear to me, so I'll take it even further down the hierarchy. Let's look at it by month.
Okay, great.
And there we go. Now we can really start to see these patterns come into play. So let's actually take back some of the screen real estate. We'll hide that panel. We'll close the data elements tree here so I can focus in on this analysis. The next thing that I wanted to show was what we call brushing. So this is a feature where if I highlight a section of one chart, it'll show all the relationships in the other chart that we have on the screen here.
Allows you to see correlations with data.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's easier said than done, right? Behind the scenes, we're actually going to have to join together about 8 or 9 different tables to compute that query. And this is another example of where that in-memory performance and acceleration really shines for those joins across lots of tables at once.
Great.
So let's see what happens. Let's see if I highlight this cluster here. What we see is that I've got a whole milk product, and on the left, we can see these bubbles showing me, the highlights showing me that I've been selling this for a long period of time. So probably not much of an opportunity to optimize there. But I also notice another cluster here where we've got high profitability, but not as much volume. If I hover over that, this is actually a seasonal product.
And you see that there are only 3 brush marks on the left side chart.
Exactly. So this is eggnog, right? People love eggnog in the holiday season, and that's when they're buying it. And it looks like I just introduced this product last year, but it's been selling really well. So I think, you know, like you said, if I go over, if I look at the chart, we can see that it's coming in those seasonal months. And I think now I've got the solution, right? I focus my coupons and my campaigns on further promoting the profitability and volume here.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks,
Great job. Now, if your data is in Hadoop, in addition to the analytic tools and in-memory database we showed you, we've also made 2 important steps with what we're doing with our analytic platform. The first is we introduced something called Oracle Big Data SQL. What is that? It allows you to keep data in Hadoop, in a NoSQL store, and in an Oracle database, and be able to query across all of that data using standard SQL. So it opens up all the data you have in Hadoop to your users who know how to run SQL. It also lets you join data in Hadoop with your operational data from a relational system. Secondly, people have tried to access Hadoop and access data in Hadoop, and today you have to write MapReduce, for example, to be able to process that data, and business users don't know how to write MapReduce. So we're introducing a brand new product, Oracle Big Data Discovery. It's a visual face to Hadoop. So it allows you to go to a browser, profile the data, explore the data, analyze the data, and do prediction and correlation. And we'll show you that in just a minute. Now, we've taken both of these capabilities, the Big Data SQL, and there are optimizations for performance with query offloading, and made it available on Oracle Big Data Appliance. We've also made the in-memory database and Oracle Business Intelligence, the new capability we showed you earlier, available in Oracle Exalytics. Now, more importantly, for customers who have line of business users in departments, we're offering both of these in the Oracle Cloud as an analytics cloud offering. So if you're a departmental user and you want to build a data mart and do some analysis, you can simply go to cloud.oracle.com, access Oracle database, either 11 or 12, and access Oracle Business Intelligence. You can do the same with our Hadoop and our Big Data Discovery tools. And we've used the same technology to offer prepackaged analytics from all of our SaaS applications. And today, 2 million users use our analytics cloud to do analysis on data from our service offering, our sales offering, our marketing offering, our HR and ERP offerings. So Omri Traub from development's here, and we're going to show you big data analytics in action and big data discovery. Omri, what you got here?
Thanks, Thomas. So Hadoop is a really exciting technology. It's full of promise, but unless you hire a team of data scientists and programmers to write code that looks like this, you probably don't feel ready to tackle this, even if you think that you should. So today we're introducing Oracle Big Data Discovery. Think of it as the visual face of Hadoop. And we start here with our catalog interface, showing you the contents of that data lake you set up either on-premise or in the cloud. It's full of hundreds of data sets, structured and unstructured.
This is just basically all kinds of data sets that you put in Hadoop.
Exactly.
We're browsing the Hadoop catalog, and we've got this information.
That's right. Now, our system automatically, as you said, samples and profiles and catalogs the data for you, and it even enriches the data. It pulls out locations and terms and sentiment automatically. Now, you can use a familiar search and guided navigation interface to find exactly what you're looking for. In this case, it's a large-scale weblog for studying customer behavior at an online retailer. Now, our Explore interface lets you study a new data set at a glance. It's like an interactive guided tour of your data. Each tile here represents an attribute, and the system automatically picks the most important attributes to show you first, based on machine learning algorithms, and picks the most appropriate visualization for each. You can quickly get an understanding of the shape of your data. How are the values distributed? Where are there missing values or anomalies? And you can make a call, is this data set even worth exploring further? Now, this scratch pad area at the top of the screen lets you visually investigate relationships between attributes. In this case, we start with a map of the US showing us the locations of our customers at this online retailer. And I can see here that I can use the tiles interactively. So if I want to study why customers are abandoning their shopping carts and not completing their purchases, I can just click on that event type value here. Now, the updated map makes me wonder what's going on here in California, particularly here in the Bay Area. It seems to be a concentration of frustrated shoppers. The resolution tile on the bottom right is showing me that while many customers are just letting their shopping cart time out, a lot of them seem to be encountering errors, and that's not good. I'm wondering if this is coming maybe from a specific platform. So I take a quick look at the user agent, which is present in those Apache weblogs. It's showing me a whole bunch of browsers and operating systems and versions, but that's not what I'm looking for. I just want to know if they're coming in through a browser on a mobile device or on a desktop. Now, in the past, I would have been stuck here. I would have had to go back to IT and ask them to use a different tool or maybe a coder to write some code to solve this for me. But with Big Data Discovery, I can do this myself. If I click on this transform tool, which is built right in, I have a whole menu of options for doing this with simple interactive interfaces. I can do string transformations, I can do geotagging, I can do text enrichments like we talked about. Here I'm going to do a simple data cleansing operation for grouping values. And with a few clicks, I can categorize these browsers as mobile and those here as desktop.
So you're basically building a filter.
Exactly.
OK.
Simple case statement, but I'm not writing SQL. A preview lets me verify that I'm on the right track. So now if I go back to that Explore interface, I can use my newly wrangled attribute for platform here as a new lens on the data. I can quickly filter to the mobile shoppers, and I can add this resolution to my scratchpad area. And now I can see that those mobile shoppers who are abandoning their carts are doing this because the most common outcome is an error. OK?
Boy.
Now, this makes me wonder if this is actually a problem here in California. Because when I pop back out to the whole country, I see other areas that are affected. But I'm now convinced is a bug in my mobile shopping cart implementation. OK, so I want to know when this started. And with a few clicks, I have my answer. It seems to have been started on this date. I can see the error counts shooting up. And I can even estimate the impact on revenue by looking at the revenue bars going down.
So we looked at the data in the data lake. We explored it, and we never really thought we had a problem, but we found a problem.
That's right.
Interesting.
Now, with Big Data Discovery, it's this integrated suite of tools. It lets anybody in your organization get that type of analytic value out of big data stored in Hadoop.
Fantastic.
So we talked about these insights and discoveries, but how do we take action? How do we productize this? You want to be able to leverage your existing applications for dashboards, reports, and those are written using SQL, right? So with Oracle Big Data SQL, you can now access all of your data, whether it's stored in a relational database or in Hadoop. You can see here the select statement is pulling out all of this data from that weblog stored in Hadoop. Now, I have one problem here. It's natively stored in this key value format called JSON. It's really popular for unstructured data, but it makes the data look like it's one column with these specially formatted strings.
Yes.
Now, I'm in luck, though, because Oracle Database 12c has native support for JSON, and it lets me use this dotted path notation to pull out specific keys from within the JSON strings for customer ID or brand name. So
Okay.
now
We've
see
got
the
all
data.
these customer names in there.
Got it. It's a problem. It's a security violation of my corporate policy. Sensitive customer data. Now, if I query the same type of data in my customer table in the database, I can see that that information is being redacted. It's just a simple security policy set up in this rule here. With Big Data SQL, I can do the same thing for my data inside Hadoop. If I apply this policy and I run that select statement again, that data is now protected and redacted.
Perfect.
OK, so we accessed our JSON data in Hadoop. We did it securely. But now I want to take action. I want to use my favorite BI tool to do a simple segmentation exercise. I want to find customers who are using my website most frequently and most recently. And that data is going to come from my behavioral data in Hadoop, but who are spending the least amount of money with me. And that's going to come from the warehouse. So I'm going to need a SQL engine that's going to let me effectively and efficiently query across and join across data from relational and Hadoop. But it also needs to be able to handle the type of rich analytics statements that BI tools tend to spit out. Okay, so Oracle Big Data SQL is the most complete and efficient way of doing this across relational and Hadoop. I do it in 3 parts here. First, I break up by quintiles the spend based on the data from the warehouse. Then I break into quintiles the recency and frequency data that's coming from Hadoop. And then with a join and a filter, I'm done. It looks like Daisy and Logan here are prime candidates for some more promotions. They visit the site frequently and recently, but they're not spending a lot of money. That's it. Oracle Big Data SQL lets you access all of the data. It lets you use the same unified security and governance policies. And it handles rich analytics with Oracle SQL.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Amrit.
Thomas.
Great job. You've got all these applications, analytics, packaged applications, et cetera, that you want to make accessible to your users who are using mobile devices. 3 important things that we're doing. First, we provide the ability to go to bespoke apps, packaged apps, Oracle and non-Oracle, cloud-based applications and legacy systems, and expose services from them into a REST API catalog. Then we're introducing a new capability called the Oracle Mobile Cloud Service that lets you take that REST and use it to develop and deploy applications up to multiple operating systems and multiple device platforms, iOS and Android, smartphone, small tablet, big tablet. And then third is we provide you access control and security on that data so that if your users have the same single sign-on password when they access your mobile apps as they do the web apps, and if you lose the phone, data on that phone corporate data on that phone does not get lost. It can be encrypted or remotely wiped. So let's look at the 3 pieces, 3 important technological pieces. The mobile application framework. It's a declarative mechanism to build applications for phones. The important thing it gives you is you write one code base, and we optimize it for both iOS and Android, including access to native features. So you don't have to build multiple code lines for multiple phone and tablet platforms. So it simplifies how you develop apps. Second, the mobile cloud service. It's the mobile backend as a service, the ability to get APIs, to shape them for your mobile apps, persist data locally, monitor usage of your applications with analytics, and optimize the experience. And then from a security point of view, 2 important things. If every one of your users is going to both access web apps and mobile apps, doesn't it make sense to have them use the same single sign-on mechanism to access both type of applications? Yes, so we do. And secondly, we provide a security container that runs on the device and protects your corporate data running on those devices to make sure that you don't lose any corporate data on those devices. Now, we've used this infrastructure, this set of technologies, to build mobile application extensions for PeopleSoft, for eBusiness Suite, for Hyperion, and for all of our new applications, JD Edwards, et cetera. The value that we offer our customers is an end-to-end mobile development deployment platform, and it's the same technology used by our own packaged apps. So if you want to extend our packaged apps and build their own mobile extension, you use the same set of tools that we use to build our own mobile extensions. So Rick Smith from development's here. Hey, Rick.
How are you, Thomas?
Are we going to show them how to mobilize their apps?
Absolutely, absolutely. So today we're going to help a pharmaceutical company called E&E Pharmaceutical develop a simple mobile application that's going to enable their sales representatives to access data in Sales Cloud and eBusiness Suite. More specifically, we'll create a task-specific application that allows a sales representative to quickly review a list of opportunities or offices and their corresponding details. We'll build the application and supporting APIs using Mobile Cloud Service, and we'll secure the whole thing using Mobile Security Suite.
Perfect.
So we'll start by logging into Mobile Cloud Service. And the first thing that we're going to do is review our connectors configuration. And connectors simply provide an easy way for us to integrate third-party APIs and services with Mobile Cloud Service. And you'll see I've configured two connectors.
Yes.
One that's introspecting an on-premise instance of eBusiness Suite, and another that's integrated with Sales Cloud. Now, SOAP connectors provide an easy way for us to bridge SOAP communications to a REST API. However, the APIs exposed by these connectors are a little too verbose for our purposes. So next, I'll show you how we can shape the data returned from these connectors so that it better fits our needs. To do this, we're going to develop an application-specific API. And we'll use Mobile Cloud Services API Management Suite to do this. So the API Management Suite allows developers to create custom APIs as well as take advantage of built-in APIs. For our application, I've created the Offices API, and we can review details for the API using the API Designer. And the API Designer is essentially a visual declarative environment that allows developers to declare resources, security schemes, and schema that define the contract for their API. And every API in Mobile Cloud Service is bound to an implementation. And this simply represents the business logic that defines the behavior for the API itself. So here we see we have version 1 of the Offices implementation bound to the Offices API. And you'll also note that every implementation is authored in JavaScript and deployed to our Node.js platform. In addition to custom APIs, developers can also extend the functionality of their applications using built-in APIs, such as user management for managing mobile end users, data offline, which enables devices to store application data for offline use, storage for application persistence, and notifications so that we can send updates to iOS and Android devices. To get started with any API within our suite, we provide interactive documentation. So let's review the notifications documentation. Here we'll see descriptions of all of the endpoints that comprise our API, as well as examples that help the developer get started. We don't just make it easy for developers to create and consume APIs, but we also make it very easy for them to monitor APIs with our analytics suite. The analytics dashboard provides an overview of all user activity within Mobile Cloud Service. So here we can see activity by location, as well as view daily averages for new users, active users, and sessions. We can also go down a level deeper to see API-specific activity, as well as API performance. So now that we have a general understanding of how to create APIs and manage APIs for our application, let's take a look at how we ultimately develop the app that we deploy to the device.
Perfect.
So to do that, we're going to take advantage of Mobile Application Framework, which we can access through the Application Accelerator in Mobile Cloud Service. So Mobile Application Framework is essentially a set of components that are platform agnostic, and they bind readily to the APIs exposed by Mobile Cloud Service. So here you can see I've defined a simple Mobile Application Framework application that is going to help us render the list of offices.
So you can use predefined layouts, so it's like PowerPoint. You just pick your layout and go.
Exactly. It's just as simple as that. And so for us to display data from Sales Cloud, we need to only bind the Offices API that we introspected earlier to our application. So to do this, we simply browse the API catalog, locate the Offices API, add it, and by default, Mobile Application Framework will take the collection that's returned from that API and render it as a list. So our last and final step is simply to build the app and deploy it. Once our build process completes, I'm left with two artifacts, an Android application and an iOS application. Now, we saw the iOS application in action earlier. Let's now take a look at the Android application in action.
But the same, literally the act of building it, we generated 2 executables. So you don't have to write 2 different versions, one for the iPhone, one for the Android. And now when you see it, you'll show us how it adapts to the look and feel and the gestures and all of that on the Android platform.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So to find our Android application, the first thing that we'll encounter is what we call the Oracle Security Workspace.
Great.
This is essentially the secure container in which the app's deployed. When we try to launch the workspace, we're challenged by a single sign-on screen. And this single sign-on screen is the single access point not only for E&E's mobile applications, but also its desktop applications.
So the same username password you would use to access your web apps, you can use to access your phone or mobile apps. And the reason we think that's important is if every user is using both the phone and the web, you don't want to double the number of username passwords in your company.
That's exactly right. So once we've authenticated, we can see all the applications that are currently managed in the workspace. We can locate the E&E app. Let me launch that right quick. And as you stated, we can see the same application rendered in the native look and feel of the Android device. And for a more clear overview, we can see both applications rendered side by side natively. Now, Mobile Application Framework not only makes it easy for you to develop portable phone applications, but as you might surmise, it also makes it very easy for you to develop portable tablet applications, such as this one, which provides the same basic functionality that we saw earlier, but with a few added bells and whistles. So with the help of Mobile Application Framework, Mobile Cloud Service, and Mobile Security Suite, it's very easy for us to build compelling user experiences that extend our existing application investments.
Thank you very much, Rick. Great job.
Appreciate it.
So for all of those who use Oracle's apps, Oracle's technology, since the whole world now accesses the web more and more through mobile devices, you can use this technology to extend your existing infrastructure up to mobile devices. Now we're shifting gears, and we're going to talk about what we've done with our cloud platform. So we showed you 2 capabilities already, the analytics cloud and the mobile cloud. We're broadening our portfolio of cloud solutions. We're introducing infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, a number of new software as a service modules, as Mr. Ellison did on Sunday night, as well as data as a service. So I'm going to talk about each of them quickly. So infrastructure as a service. You have the ability to use the Oracle Cloud for elastic object storage, block storage, compute, and identity. We have a centralized identity system for all of our cloud solutions. Let's take a look at just a couple of these to illustrate how you might be able to use it. Object storage. So the Oracle Object Storage Service allows you to have a triple mirror redundant storage system for backup and archive in the cloud. So you can take your database backups, RMAN, and you configure it with a configuration step, and it can take your incremental backup or your cold backup and store it in the Object Storage Service. Why is that important? Well, there are 2 or 3 interesting things we do with our Object Storage Service. First of all, there's something called a global namespace, which means you don't have to tell us which data center you want to back it up to. You just point it up to the Object Storage Service, and we will take care of persisting the data across this triple mirror redundant site. If you happen to want different policies, you say, my nightly backup, I only want it double mirror redundant, and my cold backup, I want it triple mirror redundant, you don't have to do anything outside of specifying a policy. You don't have to change where you're backing up to. That's very different from other cloud storage providers. We also have gateways that can go, you can take a virtual appliance, deploy it on your data center floor, and it can take data not just from Oracle databases, but any network-attached storage or SAN storage device and put it up in our cloud. Similarly, we have elastic compute. So you can use a set of virtual CPUs, you can get elastic IP addresses, elastic pools of compute, and you can use them on a subscription basis, on an hourly basis. Now, on top of this infrastructure as a service, we built the platform as a service. And it's a broad suite of services targeted to developers, to line of business users, and IT organizations. So let's look at a few of these. I'm going to start with database, what we're doing for application developers. So we're introducing two new services, the Oracle Database Instance Service and the Oracle Java Cloud Service. Each of them gives you a dedicated instance. So you get a dedicated Oracle database instance, either 11 or 12. And you similarly get a dedicated WebLogic server instance, either 11 or 12. What we've done with it is give you the ability to use our software without having to do all the work to operate the software. So you simply tell us when you want to back it up, and we'll back it up for you. You tell us when you want to patch it, we'll patch it for you. And we've taken all that manual work and automated it through software to make it efficient for you. So you can use, if you've got data on your premise, you can move it up to the cloud using Data Pump for the database or SQL Loader, and you similarly move applications up to our Java Cloud Service. Along with it, if you're a developer, we give you a developer collaboration environment, a source control system, ability to dependency management, project tracking, a wiki, and continuous build. And all the tools that you're familiar with. If you're a developer, SQL developer, Eclipse, NetBeans, Oracle J developer, they all work. And the same tool you use to manage your on-premise database or middleware, Oracle Enterprise Manager, we give you an instance of that in the cloud to allow you to monitor and look at your database and middleware. So you may think, well, how can I use this today? And we thought it'd be easy if we showed you migrating an Oracle e-business suite instance that you have on your premise up to the cloud. So Noah Horton from development's here. Hey, Noah.
Thanks, Thomas. It's great to be here. So there's been a lot of discussion about how the cloud can change the way you develop and deploy new applications. But we think this is pretty interesting because it's also changing the way you can run these existing applications. So this is e-business suite running on-premise. I can go ahead and log in. And we can see the financials package with a variety of data already loaded into it. Let's jump into one of these. Here's an expense report for somebody coming out to OpenWorld. Now, this is a very traditional EBS deployment. It's an Oracle database fronted by two application servers. So we're going to move this from on-premise into the cloud without ever going into a shell. So let's switch over to the cloud. I'll go ahead and log in. And we can see a list of many of the services which make up Oracle Public Cloud. We're going to focus on two of these today, though. We're going to focus on the Database Cloud Service, which is where we're going to move the database, and the Compute Service, which is where we're going to host those application servers.
Okay.
So let's start by creating a database instance. So first off, it asks me which version of database I want to install. Now, 11G is perfect, and I want to note that this is the traditional Oracle database software you're used to on-premise. This isn't a different branch or something like this. It's what you're used to. I can then choose the size of the virtual machine that's going to run it in terms of memory and CPU, and it ranges from the very small to the very large. And then I get to configure this. So I'll name it EBS database to make it clear what it is. I can choose the size of the database in advance. I can put in my security credentials, and I can even set up things like DataGuard for HA. Yep. As you mentioned, then, we also bring additional functionality into the cloud with database service, so we handle the backup and recovery services for you. So I'm going to use the default settings here, which are what's commonly useful. The weekly full backups of the database, daily incrementals, and then we're going to store that data locally to the instance for a week so that we can recover it very quickly. And after that, we're going to keep it for a month in the cloud object storage service you mentioned earlier for a lower cost. I can also put in the security credentials I use to access the storage service there, so I can share containers. And I now can confirm that I've got this all ready to go the way I intended, and kick off the provisioning. So we now have a database in the cloud. We need to get data into it.
Okay.
So let me switch over to my desktop. All right. So this is SQL Developer connected to my local database. Now, because the database service is running totally normal Oracle database in the cloud, we can use all the tools we're used to using when transferring data between two databases, in this case, Data Pump. So I'll go into the Data Pump wizard, and I'm going to move the entire database. Now, this would take a little bit, so we're going to actually skip ahead because it could take a while to run. Here's the data in the cloud database having been migrated.
So we ran the migration last week, and the data is up there. Okay.
Precisely. So going back to the cloud interface, we can see that we now have a little more load on the database, as you'd expect after that. So let's look at those app servers.
Okay.
We'll go into the compute cloud service, and we can see that we have two VMs here already defined. Now, there's nothing in these yet. I just created them initially so that I could choose the number of CPUs I wanted, the amount of RAM, that sort of thing. So I've gotten the container itself ready, but nothing in it. So let's get something into it. Now, this might be the point where you expect it to get complex, but in addition to all the functionality that we have native to Oracle Cloud, we've chosen to partner with some of the best providers in the industry as well to bring yet more functionality. In this case, I'm going to show off our joint offering with River Meadow. River Meadow allows us to put in the connection information needed to connect to one of those on-premise EBS app servers, as well as our cloud account, and then continue on. What it does is it reaches into that on-premise instance and it inspects it, and it catches some of the key attributes of it, such as its IP addresses, the storage volumes and their sizes, the amount of CPU it uses, all of those types of things. And then it's looking at our cloud account and looking for VMs that would be appropriate receptacles for that. It's auto-detected the appropriate one, so we're going to go ahead and start the migration. Now, again, this is something that takes a little bit to run, so we're skipping ahead. But there's some amazing stuff that happens at this point. The technology is actually reaching into my app server on premise, and it's taking all of the state from that machine and moving it over to the cloud instance. And so by all the state, I mean the operating system, all of the code that makes up the app server, the configuration of both of those, queues, batch processes, all of that's moving.
Moving all of the state from the middle tier up to the cloud.
All of it.
Okay.
Now, what makes that even harder, though, is not all of that state is appropriate for the cloud. So let's say this was a physical server on premise. It could have been virtual. It could have been physical. The drivers on there may not be the right drivers. The DNS settings might not be the right DNS settings. As this is being moved into the cloud, we're actually reaching in, pulling out the inappropriate versions of those and replacing them with the right versions for cloud. So now that we've migrated that, we can switch back over to the compute cloud interface. And let's look at the app server that's been migrated. We can see some of the details on it. Here are the two storage volumes that have now been populated with that EBS code. And let's go ahead and click into the public IP address. So here we go. We see EBS again running in the cloud. And if I log in, I can see all of the data has also been migrated into the database cloud service.
Thank you, Noah. Great job.
Thank you.
So if you're a customer with existing applications or an ISV wondering how do I get up to the cloud, that's as easy as that. If you're a line of business person, you may wonder how can I use the cloud? And we offer a number of new cloud services to help line of business users. The first one is the document cloud service, a mechanism for users to collaborate and share documents across their different devices. So it's synchronized documents across the different devices and with other people through team workspaces. The second one is the social network. The social network is a tool that makes it looks as easy as Facebook, It looks like Facebook, but allows users to have conversations with other users and share application and business data in a secure fashion. So you can collaborate in documents using the document cloud service, and you can work with people through the social network. If you've got on-premise applications, you need to integrate up with a cloud system. For example, you've got Oracle CRM in the cloud, you want to pull back into eBusiness Suite, you can use our integration cloud service to connect your cloud systems with your on-premise systems. And lastly, if you've got business processes that you want to model and build simple task-based form interfaces, we've introduced a process cloud service that allows you to model business processes that tie across a bunch of cloud applications and with your on-premise systems. Now let's show you how easy this is to do. Vasu, welcome to OpenWorld.
It's fabulous, Thomas.
So you're a business user.
Absolutely. So
You're not a developer.
No, I'm not a developer.
Oh boy. And how are you going to use the cloud?
So I'm a business analyst, and my company hired me so I can help them analyze data and make better decisions.
Okay.
But that's not enough, right? So I need a great tool to analyze data, but if I need to be able to share my analysis, my documents, and collaborate with the rest of the team so it can really make it happen.
Okay.
So what I'm showing here is my social network dashboard. This is what I log in to know what's going on. So at a
This
glance,
looks just like Facebook. You've got a
Yeah,
bunch of
absolutely.
people posting to you.
yeah, but no ads, and it's really private to your company, right? So, but it's really familiar. So I know what's hot, what is not. I know who I should be following, like Brooklyn and Finance, who's a rising superstar, so I should be following her, right? And also, I keep up to date with what's happening with the conversations. I have many threads going on here. It also tells me if I need to be responding to something urgent, like now, I have an icon here, my boss, okay? So, there are some inventory issues with this product. This Tab 7 is a hot product, and we've been out of stock, twice already this year. So, he needs a better plan. So I'm going to tell him that I'm going to take it up in priority. I post it up there. Now I need to go fix the problem, right? So
Okay.
the best tool for that is Business Intelligence Cloud Service that we already have. So the first day I got this account, I was able to directly get on that, pull data from the Sales Cloud, pull spreadsheets from my planning team, and put together some analysis right away. And I have some sales analysis right here. I believe it's the right tool project for me to go solve this problem. So I click on that. It shows me how the demand has been over the last few quarters. And I see there's a pattern here. There's a pattern. There's seasonality, right? So this is typical. I'm not really surprised with that. But let's see how the supply side is working, how we've been planning. So I click on that. That comes from a spreadsheet from a planning team. And see, you see the problem here? So the demand has been fluctuating, but my plan is flat. So they've been twice already. We've been kind of, we didn't have enough supply when the demand was high.
Can you do a prediction? How's it going to look like going forward?
Yeah, so the thing is, I can actually do a lot of math calculations, but it's right away available here for me. I'm going to try this out. So I can click on this bar and say add a forecast. It's that simple. Now, if the pattern continues, that's probably an approximation of how it turns out going to be. I don't know how the future is going to turn out. No one knows the future, but I think it's a better plan than what I had before. So I'm going to save this, and this is what I'm going to share. But many of the folks in the company likes to use spreadsheets, so I really want to share in a spreadsheet. I'm going to switch over to Microsoft Excel. We have a plugin called SmartView, which connects to the BI Cloud Service and can directly analyze data in there. So that's great. So I have the same project up here. I've opened already. Let me click on that and my analysis here. I'm ready to share it. But wait a minute. So the warehouse managers want to know what's the plan for their warehouse.
So each one, you need to tell them
Yeah, I
what
can't
to
just
do.
share the aggregate. So I need to drill down. But that's easy. So I can just use my familiar spreadsheet interface, drill down right there. And the cloud service would forecast for individual warehouse. I have it right there. This is really what I need to share. So let me save this. Now, I saved this to a local folder, but it's just not another folder. So this is my document cloud service collaborative workspace. What does that mean, right? So I have anybody who's interested in this product subscribe to this workspace, and as soon as I save it, it gets synchronized up with the document cloud service. That's great. They have access to this document. But I want to be proactive. I want to make sure they got it, right? So I want to send a message to them. So when I click on that icon, I get to Document Cloud Service interface, and the same spreadsheet is available right there in the browser. So I can see it on my tablet, on my mobile phone, and I can write a note to them right away. Everybody that's subscribed, I say, I've already talked to the supplier, it's all fine, prepare for this new demand, right? So I post this, and I know these guys are always on their mobile phones. I get response usually pretty fast. So Jeff and Matteo got the message. And I think I have a plan to solve the problem. And it didn't take me too long to do it. Maybe I can go home early today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vasu.
Thanks, Thomas.
So we showed you as a line of business user, analytics, collaboration to solve a business problem. Software as a service. So in addition to infrastructure and platform, we offer a complete suite of software as a service applications that you can use alongside PeopleSoft, eBusiness Suite, Siebel, or JD Edwards, and you can coexist them. ERP, enterprise resource planning, enterprise performance management, a full human capital management and talent management suite, and a full customer experience suite, marketing, sales, commerce, configure, price, quote, service, field service, and then supply chain, all built in with our social relationship management platform. So Mr. Ellison covered a lot of how much progress we've made in our software as a service applications portfolio, but we've done two additional things. We've integrated our platform as a service as a mechanism to extend the software as a service. So if you want to build extensions, you can use all the services I talked about on the platform side to extend software as a service. So one platform built as an integrated platform rather than branded as an integrated platform to extend the software as a service. And finally, we've enriched the software as a service applications with data. So let's take a practical example. You market to people. You send them catalogs in their mail. You reach them on email. You push information to them on social media. You push YouTube videos and Hulu videos to them. They go and search for things on Google. They look at display ads, and they look at information on the phone. Now, each of these people are different people to the system because they have a corporate email address. They have a different address on Facebook. They have an IP address for their phone or a phone number. And you need, in order to be an effective marketeer, to be able to bridge all of these. So they have a unified view of who that person is. Because behind that home address, the postal address, behind that email ID, behind that distinct Facebook account, behind that distinct phone number, there's actually a single person. And we provide you technology to build this cross-channel, cross-device identity graph so you know who these people are. And the power of that makes your customer experience applications a lot more effective. Brent, let's show them our new customer experience suite.
All right, so we're going to take a look at the customer experience platform from the perspective of a sales rep at Vision Corporation.
Okay.
Now, Vision Corporation, they subscribe to multiple of our PaaS and SaaS offerings, and we're going to see how their sales rep is able to benefit from that. So when we log into the Oracle Sales Cloud, we're presented with all of the information that this rep needs to run his business. We have his forecast, his pipeline information. We have the leads that were identified, created, and nurtured and assigned to this rep. We have his orders and quotes and service requests, particularly those service requests assigned to him or impacting any of the customers in his top opportunities. Now, if we need any additional information behind any of these tiles, we simply flip them over and we get the detailed information. If we want to take action on that, we can drill directly into the transactional system and see the information. Now, in the upper right-hand side of the screen, you can see that we have that Vision shares trending product information with its sales reps so they can capitalize on all of the latest market opportunities. Now, in the past, Vision used to predict trends based upon closed revenue or historical transactions. And that's really kind of a backwards and historical way to predict future trends. And with our social cloud, they're able to listen to all the conversations happening right now on the internet about their products, as well as their competitor products, to anticipate trends and get ahead of the market. We can also see who the top personas or that were actually showing interest and intent to buy these products. So if we drill down further, we can see these personas are grouped into these industry category segments. And why that's important is because as a subscriber to the data as a service platform, Vision is able to create sales campaigns and segment these personas against over 1 billion contact profiles. And that creates only the most qualified leads for its sales force.
So we've taken 1 billion people and their profiles and contacts and given you a much more accurate segmentation tool to then go and pursue with leads and opportunities.
That's right. We'll have a much higher conversion rate. In the upper left corner, we can see that this rep is having some problems, and they have a shortfall in their forecast. Now, previously, this rep would drill down, sift through reports, figure out how they're going to save their quarter, and then go back and modify their forecast. And Vision IT looked into this and saw some efficiencies that they can build into the process. So they built a Java application using the Oracle platform as a service, and they called it the Forecast Shaper. And what this application does is it provides a visual representation of the forecast to the salesperson. So on the left-hand side, we can see here are all the current deals that are scheduled to close for me this quarter and my current attainment, which is short of 100%. We can see the deals that are scheduled to close in the next quarter. So our low-hanging fruit is really to try to pull in a deal from next quarter into the current quarter. So I can preview these opportunities, and I can see that we have this deal over at Halpern. And I pushed that deal into the next quarter because we had some pricing negotiations. Well, given my circumstances are changed, we're going to be a little bit more flexible on pricing so I could meet my number. So what I can do is I can drag and drop that opportunity into the current quarter, which is now looks like if I close all of this business, I have not only a chance of making, but exceeding my number. So the system doesn't actually go sell it for me and close my business. So at this point, I'm going to need to go drill into the opportunity and work my opportunity within Sales Cloud. So I'm in the opportunity in Sales Cloud with all the details. And based upon the attributes within this opportunity, the system is recommending what's the best sales methodology to walk through and close this business. So with our contextual sales coach, we can see the first thing it's asking us to do is check the contact's digital activity. So when I drill down, I can see live from our Marketing Cloud all of the web visits, email promotions that we've sent to that person and he's clicked on or not. We can see the search terms that that person used on Google or on our own website. So we get a good idea of what products he's interested in.
So a much richer profile than just what sits in the contact management system of a typical sales organization.
That's right.
Perfect.
If we drill into more information, more details, we can see exactly what products he was looking at on our website. Did he download any white papers? And we're listening to anything he said, whether it be on Twitter or Facebook or on any forum out on the internet, and we're able to apply a sentiment score. So the sales rep kind of has a perspective of this contact's point of view prior to even walking into the door. Next, also as a subscriber to data as a service, Vision is able to download millions of company and account and contact profiles into Sales Cloud. So this rep could really spend less time on entering contact and company data into the system and more time leveraging that information. So we can see for this key contact, what's his span of control, who does he direct, and what's his overall level of influence. We can also see my LinkedIn contacts associated with me, but more importantly, who are these contacts that are within my own company who have a relationship with this individual? And then we can overlay it with our own relationship value based upon the interactions they've had with this contact to see if maybe I want to pull in one of these additional contacts into my opportunity to help strengthen the relationship. Moving on, the next step is to check the service activity. So I'm just a click away in context for this customer to see all the related service incidents. So before I get on site, I could either escalate any issues on behalf of this customer, or I could at least know about everything that's going on, so I'm not blindsided with any issues. The next step is I need to modify the existing quote. So I'm going to drill in, and I'm taken into a guided selling process using the Oracle CPQ Cloud, where I can configure the simplest of products to the most complex of configurations. And what we see here is I'm configuring the overall quote and picking whatever devices, and I know